I know that there are some aliens and angels listening right now. But if you're a human having a human experience, we've all experienced hurt, betrayal, infidelity, loss, pain, rejection, embarrassment, and so on and so forth. A lot of times it was at the hands of another human. And as we all know, that doesn't feel good. Some of us take it harder than others. We deal with these events in different ways. We all have different coping mechanisms. Okay? Some people numb out. Some people create thick walls around their heart. Some people vow to never be in that situation again. Some people lash out. Some may self harm, you know. And depending on the magnitude of the trauma, it can have long lasting effects on how we function in our day-to-day lives, spiritually, mentally, physically, etc. You know the rigmarole. Don't ever let anyone minimize what happened to you and how you choose to deal with it. Today, I want to talk about forgiveness and how sometimes we skip the steps needed to get to true forgiveness. Have you ever forgiven someone because you heard it was the right thing to do and you thought you moved on only for it to come back around again? And you still have strong emotions toward that situation. Yeah, that's something I've dealt with and currently dealing with. For me, there was a wall of self-denial. I tried to deny what I felt so that I could forgive and move forward and just take accountability for my part. And I would minimize their part in the situation so that I could move on. And also, too, it's just a part of my personality. My personality is bubbly, optimistic. I truly like to see the best in people, you know. But then again, I was naive to the magnitude of how serious things affected me because I'm so quick to take things on the chin and move on and not have confrontation or not step on anyone's toes. But in the midst of doing that, I betrayed myself. I minimized my experience and I minimized my pain so that everyone else could feel better. Especially growing up in a family full of secrets and masks and, keep this in the family and no one talks about this. It's all nonverbal cues. You're programmed not to talk about the issue, programmed to shut up and go along to get along. But when you actually get a chance to think for yourself and analyze what happened and how to move forward with healing, you realize it's a lot of crap under that rug. It might be an elephant under that rug. I want to make this clear. I don't believe in bashing anyone. I don't believe in tearing people down, living in the past, dwelling in the past, or blaming others for how your life turned out. I don't agree with that. I actually believe the opposite. But one thing I realized in my healing journey is that how you feel matters. Your experience matters. My voice matters, okay? I stuff so much stuff down just to make others comfortable and silence myself so much just to move on and smile. That was great when I was in survival mode. But coming out of that wilderness, I realized I have to process and truly release and forgive. But how can I forgive when I didn't accept what happened and grieved it? I realized there was anger and pain inside that I carried on my shoulders, shame and self-blame. But it's not my burden. It's not my burden. I went through a lot, you guys, and it wasn't until I grew up and realized the magnitude of it. You know, I would tell little pieces of my story, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're so strong. Wow, you really went through that. Oh my God." And you're just like, "Yeah, it is what it is, you know." One day I'll tell my whole story, but just a little bit. I literally grew up in Detroit, Michigan. You know, Detroit, it already has a stigma. When you say Detroit, people just think poverty, rundown, crime, killing. Like, you know, that's what they automatically think. It's definitely one of those environments. But, you know, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, to a drug addicted father and an alcoholic mother. You know, I wasn't even supposed to be here. My mother so badly wanted to abort me. You know, thank God my dad, he spent the money. Thank God, you know. But I experienced every form of abuse you can think of. And see, younger me, it's kind of like, yeah, I was abused, you know, but whatever, I got past it. No, literally stop. If I was in therapy, like, well, I've been in therapy before, but when you're in therapy or like from the outside looking in, I literally experienced every form of abuse you can think of, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, sexually, whatever, you know. And long story short, my resilience and my desire for better in life helped me overlook a lot of things just so that I could keep surviving. You know, listen, God's timing is always perfect, because if I sat and wallowed in what happened to me, I would not have made it this far in my life. I honestly, like, granted, I dealt with heavy substance abuse to repress these emotions, but I was still functional, you know, to make my own money, maintain a job, a car, a home, and be presentable. You know, like, my main thing was stability. I always dreamed of stability as a young girl, like stability, stability, stability. Like I was old while I was young. You get it? But I know people who could have been in a psych ward after dealing with what I dealt with. Okay? I have siblings who are actively, you know, still hurting and bleeding, and they live high risk lifestyles, and you know, and they've been through a lot of things and still going through these things, and it's just like everybody, it's like people will talk down on them, like, oh, they do this or they do this, or you know, whisper and gossip and behind their back. But I know that it stems from trauma, you know. I know that. That's why I don't judge them. And they just sort of accept mediocrity, you know. No one wants to accept that. Let me make that clear. No one wants to accept it, but it's like, if you're not intentionally trying to heal and you're not intentionally growing, you're staying in it. That's what you're staying in it. Period. This healing and all of this that I talk about on my page, my channel, my podcast, with my friends in real life, I literally live this in my real life. This is literally my conversation in real life. I don't just get on the internet to say anything. This is real, and this is intentional. If you're not intentionally doing this, you're bound to repeat the same cycles. You're bound to repeat the same cycles. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like deja vu. You look at them, like people that you're close to or siblings or whatever, and you're like, wow, you're going to turn out just like how our parents were, or you're going to, you know what I mean? You just can't believe it. But well, how can you blame them? You know what I mean? People are truly products of their environment. It takes a rebirthing. I truly believe it takes a rebirthing, and then a re-raising and a reparenting in Christ, and a restoration, whatever, you know. I kind of got off topic, but we don't mince words on this side of the internet. It is what it is, you know. And part of my denial, I used to sugarcoat things and be like, oh, you know, well, I know that they didn't mean it, or they had mental illness, or they was scared, We have to call a spade a spade. In order to heal and to forgive, we have to call a spade a spade. And we have to be honest about what happened to us. We have to be honest to ourselves about what happened. Okay? Let me get back. I just say all that to say it wasn't until I had time to sit down and truly seek healing I realized I was in denial. And that denial kept my anger deep inside instead of letting it out. My disappointment, feeling betrayed. I didn't feel protected, wanted, appreciated, feeling abandoned, abused. It truly took a toll on me emotionally, but I was so used to repression and denial that I just kept going. And I empathized with my abusers. I empathized with the bystanders, and I grew compassion for them and said they know not what they do. Meanwhile, denying my pain, denying it all. You know, I had to be an adult as a child. So I was used to taking accountability. And it wasn't until I started healing, intentionally healing, and deepening my relationship with God, I realized how much I didn't forgive myself. I still blamed me, just like a lot of you. You still blame yourself. You're not one of those people that just hurt people and do them wrong and they act like you didn't do nothing, and you just go to sleep like, oh, I didn't do nothing to nobody. No, you actually care about your character. You actually care about your intentions and motives and things like that. Okay? You're still blaming yourself. God told me it's a lot of y'all out there dealing with these things I'm dealing with, which is why we're called to heal together. Okay. And what I notice is like a common thing and theme in therapy, self-help, developmental books is realizing that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. What happened as a child and into teen years, it wasn't your fault. Self-compassion is key. Acceptance is key to self-love and everything else. Of course, you made mistakes. Even now, you want to like reject the idea of it not being your fault because it's like, oh, well, I did this, I did that. You were a child. You were young. You were like, you know what I'm saying? And some of y'all were just good kids anyway. The acting out came from the pain and the hurt and the neglect and, all of these things. So it's like, it's not your fault. I just want to say that it's not your fault. Self-compassion, 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 self-acceptance. Believe this. You might have to go listen to my last video. My last video is divorce the lies. You have to divorce these lies in your head that says, it was me, or this, or that. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Forgiveness is a place you arrive to after you accept, grieve, maybe be angry, question, whatever. You can't put forgiveness first and deny yourself. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if you forgive, let's say you forgive first, cool, but still you have to accept and grieve how it really made you feel. Don't just be like, oh, okay, well, what can I do about it? Or I don't want to, you don't have to get revenge or anything like that. But like still process how it made you feel. It's a process. We can't put a band-aid on a gunshot wound. We need open heart surgery or brain surgery. Especially if it was deep trauma that you experienced. Whether it could have been a relationship. It don't have to be your childhood. It could be a relationship with a narcissist. Some of y'all was in a relationship with narcissists. Some of y'all had friends that bullied y'all. Some of y'all really went through bullying, gaslighting. It's so many things you could have been through. Being adopted, a lot of different things. So you guys, it takes a lot for me to talk about this because I'm so used to being there for everyone else and denying myself that now I'm on a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance and compassion. It brings back so many unprocessed feelings and emotions that the more I talk about it, the more I heal. I used to hate talking about my past. I kind of just divorced it and put it in a box and locked it away and, compartmentalized basically. But now I notice more and more that your dark past is going to make a bright future for you. Yes, I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about all of us. Those things that you're ashamed of, God is going to use that to get the glory. He's going to use that to heal you and many, many other people like you. He will give you beauty for ashes. That is like, when I heard that, it was like, wow, beauty for ashes. And I want to say this, when you start to open up about your story to heal yourself and heal others, there will be people uncomfortable with what you're saying. A lot of people's heart have waxed cold in these last days, and they will project their unhealed way of living and thinking onto you. They will say things like, it is what it is, blah, 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 blah. Don't nobody want to hear that. Okay, melancholy, da, da, da. Meanwhile, they dealing with depression. It's not fun. This is not funny. I just want to let that be known. Meanwhile, they're dealing with depression, suicidal ideation, addiction, everything under the sun. Sleep paralysis, demons attacking them, literally. I mean, it's so common these days for people to be like, I'm fighting my demons. I'm chilling with my demons. I done seen memes where people be like, they having demon sex, or it's just this demon culture. I'm on demon time. It's like demon, 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 demon. Everybody want to be a demon, chill with demons, kicking it with the slimes and the demons and the wolves and the gangsters and all of that. Okay? It's here. It's here. It's here. So don't be afraid to combat the evil with good and edification and love and education and all these things. Don't feel bad. Do not feel bad. Okay? The Lord told us to bear one another's burdens. He told us to confess our sins to one another. He told us to weep together and have joy together. It's imperative that we lean on one another. This independent, forget everybody culture is not healthy or productive. Get around people who promote love, growth, prosperity, healing, and genuine connections. You are not alone. And people who act like they never been hurt are liars and the truth is not in them. So don't get around anyone that makes you feel uncomfortable with expressing your side of the story. And don't shrink yourself back. Okay? Don't shrink around these people. And pay attention to how you feel around people. Okay? Because the ones that's for you, they will empower you. They will listen to you. They will sit there and heal with you. They will understand what you went through. And they will help you to get past it. And they will empower you to do something and to help people and give back. Okay? So, yeah, I don't want to be too long with you guys, but this is the It Had to Be Said podcast, season 2, episode 2. What it do? But I had to get that out. Just get that out for y'all. I love y'all so much. In the comments, I want y'all to tell me y'all experience with forgiving people. Y'all experience, like, what did y'all experience when y'all were growing up? What is something that still hurts you or bothers you to this day? What's something that you're dealing with? So that I can meet you in prayer and also meet you in the comments, meet you in the email, whatever. You need a friend, you need a hand, I'm here. Reach out to me. Good night. Good morning. It's really the morning. Good night, y'all.